financial expert Jonathan Davis with me now, because we're going to talk more about our top story, Lloyds TSB's takeover of HBOS. What does that mean for you? What will it mean, first of all, for people working for both these organisations?
Well, they have a huge branch network, huge head offices. I think the head office in Edinburgh will be severely affected. I would imagine they'll bring everything down to London. So Edinburgh job loss, I think, will be significant. Of course, they both have a very strong retail network in Scotland from the old TSB and Bank of Scotland. So I think there'll be closures and branches in Scotland. Around the country, there's not so much overlap, but still there will be big branch closures, I'm pretty sure.
Right, that's what it means for the staff. What does it mean about people who either have a mortgage with them or are trying to get a mortgage?
Well, if you've already got a mortgage, then you'll still have a mortgage. You still have to pay that mortgage.
Same terms and conditions?
Yes, absolutely. Trying to get a mortgage, well, it's already difficult to get a mortgage right now. There's significant lending restrictions due to the global credit crunch. And even with this merger, assuming it finalises, there will still be 4 majors on the high street. So there will still be competition. And no doubt smaller players will spring up as well.
Well, actually, these are some of the concerns that you've been getting in touch with us about today, and Charlotte's been dealing with those, because we were just talking about what is left on the high street, Charlotte. That's a concern for people, isn't it?
It is indeed. Joe, we've had one here from Cash de Jour, and he says, how many banks will be left in the UK if all the big banks merge? I mean, what are we talking? Is it the big 3, the big 4?
Yes, the big 4. Was it Lloyds still, of course, HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland and Barclays. So.
And another concern, actually, is being shown here by Bevis. He's got in touch to say who or what will take over this newly formed mega bank if this one goes to the wall. I mean, how worrying is that? Because they can only get so big, I guess, before they can't be rescued.
Isn't it curious that when you owe the bank a lot of money, then it's their problem. When you are, however, talking about mega billions, it's the government's problem, and they arrange a merger. What happens when it becomes multi-mega billions? Well, then we saw in America they took over AIG for $80 billion. I read that was equivalent to all the education in the United Kingdom. That's the cost of education. Well, ultimately, we have a severe financial crisis globally and locally. If it was even bigger than that, well, I suspect then there would be a global meltdown. Yeah,
and bear in mind the normal rules of competition, of course, have been brushed aside to if this merger happens, which it will. Now we're all going to be squeezed in at the end of the day, aren't we, as a result of that?
Well, there's talk that it accounts for 1/3 of savings and close on that on mortgages. Yes, there is going to be a diminution of competitive pressures. That does imply that once the banking system refloats in the next year or 2, because it's not going to be overnight, then yes, it might be that bit more costly than it might have been to borrow, and you might get that bit less on your savings.
Okay. Jonathan Davis, thanks for painting the picture. We'll leave it there. Thank you, Charlotte. Keep those texts and those calls coming.